Hey guys, and welcome to Hymology. In this episode, I am speaking with sex therapist Wendy Haggerty, and she is going to be sharing 3 amazing wisdom bombs with you. The reason I chose Wendy as my first guest is because she is my go-to. Believe it or not, every now and then I get stuck with a client and I need an outer perspective to help me troubleshoot the situation. And Wendy is the one that I respect and that I go to when I need help. So that's why I chose her. And I want to tell you a little bit about her as she's sitting there beautifully. So Wendy is a licensed marriage and family therapist and an AASECT certified therapist and supervisor. Wendy is the founder of Sex and Love Therapy in Connecticut and Florida, where she has served the needs of hundreds of individuals, couples, and partners for many, many years. She is also a former professor of family therapy, human sexuality, and systemic sex therapy at the University of St. Joseph. Welcome to Hymology. You're in front of an all-male audience. What do you would you like to say hello?
Hello, gentlemen, and hi, you.
So I'd like to start with the first wisdom bomb, and I loved your answers because I do see you and I as being very different in how we approach things, but I was like, oh, like this is an answer that I would have given, basically, as far as, what do you want to share with men that would benefit them? So the number one thing that you wrote is presence is the most valuable asset a man can share. I couldn't agree more. And can you say more about that?
Yeah, I hear that from women that date or partner with men that they feel the lack thereof in their dating or relationships. And what they mean by that is they feel people being distracted, they feel not sort of heard, they feel the energy of the brain moving fast and maybe um, a person, a man's full presence not being there. So they're asking for this. The women are asking for more presence. And I know we live in a time where it's so easy to be distracted by our
Cats.
technology and kitty cats.
The cats.
And, um, and this applies to women too, that it's probably more challenging than ever to be present doing sort of one thing, and connection is a important thing to be doing. Or just being is as important as doing the many things that we do all day long. So to be able to stay in a moment, be mindful of what a connection is about, what a relationship is about, and to give full presence is so valuable.
Thank you. And do you have one tip of how a man can be more present when he is in the presence of his significant other?
Yeah, I think practice quieting the brain.
Mhm.
It's not easy to do if you haven't practiced it. So a daily practice of, you can call it meditation, mindfulness, but essentially it's a quieting of that part of ourselves that wants to kind of chitter chatter, to really listen to. And maybe this is the second tip: active listening requires us to quiet that. And we know we're active listening when we can respond appropriately or even repeat what we've heard, which makes the other person in the relationship feel validated by being heard. So quiet the noise, really listen, and then respond.
Perfect. Yeah, I can tell when someone's listening with their ears versus their heart. So I think when a man can like stop and drop in and be present and hear with his ears, but listen with his heart, I think women feel more received. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And what you're saying resonates with me. I think energetically we can block communication. It can be coming in our ears, but if our heart space is kind of closed down, it is all here up, right? Neck up. And that's not sort of a full embodied way of being present and being connected. So another tip, I'll layer in a third, deep breathing. When we breathe deeply, we can't do all this chitter chatter. It helps us get more embodied. So a few good, really deep breaths. Those breaths, you can send them all the way down to your toes and then back up, and it
Or to
helps.
the genitals, because we both deal with sexuality.
And I was going to stop at the genitals, but I'm glad you said that. I skipped and said toes, and you brought it right back to the genitals.
One of the things you had is conditioned scripts limit vulnerability and block intimacy. So I would love to hear you dissect that one for wisdom bomb number 2.
So people are conditioned in so many ways through family, through culture, but in our gender roles, men often are conditioned to not show their more vulnerable parts. They present. And so by presenting, they're not giving access to the parts that really feel like good connection, and often are the parts that that resonate with women, the more vulnerable parts. They are taught to lock that shit down. As I say, do not talk about X, Y, and Z with your partner. She does not want to know is the idea, or she will not approve. And so men go through their life being secret keepers, and they're conditioned for it. And that is the biggest way to block intimacy with a partner. When we're carrying anything in between, those secrets, those white lies are going to block the flow. Again, I'll speak about that energetically, but it just blocks, and people are perceptive. They don't know what they're sensing, but they know when they're not hearing a full truth, perhaps. So those old scripts have got to go.
So what I'm hearing, and this goes off of the first wisdom bomb, is perhaps if a man is not in touch with his own vulnerability and his own heart, that it would be harder for him to be present and be dropped into his heart to really receive and listen to his partner. Do you feel that's accurate?
I do. I mean, there's so many roads we can take with this one.
Layers. Yeah.
Layers upon
Layers.
layers of scripts. And they're not all the same for, for people, but certainly there are some broad generalities when we speak about men. And we're not trying to take the male out of the men, or the masculinity out of the men.
Mm-mm.
This, we're trying to sort of broaden the scope and unlearn a few behavior patterns that that don't necessarily apply anymore, and they don't move the relationships between men and women along well. Women need to understand their male counterparts. And if the males aren't talking to them openly about it, they don't understand. You understand more so. I understand more so because we get to talk deeply with the men that we work with, which is a real privilege and honor. And I'd like to spread the word, but it's better coming from the men. Let the men tell the women that they love or care for about their truths.
Absolutely. And one of the formulas that I work with is strong spine. So strong sense of self, self of respect, open heart, and hard penis because of my work.
Yeah.
Right. So I think a masculine man these days, or I would almost say what's being asked of masculine men, is to have the strong spine, the open heart. So some level of vulnerability. and the firm penis, which pertains more to my work. But do you agree with that formula, or do you see any wisdom in that formula?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice because it's full bodied.
Yeah, it's like a full body massage.
Yes. Yeah, I think that, and we're talking mostly about sexual behavior with your clients and mine as well. So this area of scripts, and maybe I should explain what I mean by scripts, like the narratives that we hear and are continued on by men to men about the things that they should not discuss, the things that make them more appealing to women. And I think that many of them are outdated and many of them are contra to what women are actually wanting from the men.
Yeah, and I think what women wanted years ago, perhaps when these scripts started, is much different in the evolution of where we are now. So,
Absolutely.
and the third wisdom bomb, freedom is only attained through owning our truths. I feel like you were kind of going in order in some way. So I'd love to hear more about that one.
So that third one, the freedom being attained through our truths. Everybody wants to be as unconditionally loved and accepted as humanly possible. It is never going to happen if we only show the parts of ourselves that we think others will like. So our work through our lifespan is to first know ourselves, like do the inner work, do the introspection, and uncover what we can come to know about ourselves, each and every unique self there is. And then as we interact and form every type of relationship there is, but certainly in terms of intimate connecting, to be able to speak about who we are in a, very truthful, very easy to understand way, so that the other person receiving that knows what they are saying yes to, knows if there's a match in terms of the wants. And we are free because we've given ourselves the information about ourselves to the other to choose. And then it's on them to choose if this connection, friendship, lover, marital partner, whatever it is good for them as well. So we're looking for in relationship, we're looking for the good. For me, it's good for you. So therefore we're good, right? If it's only good for me, but the relationship isn't good for you, we shouldn't be in relationship.
What I'm hearing is being your authentic self and knowing who that authentic self is. When I think about my biggest heartbreaks, it's the moment I realized that I was in love with an illusion, and that person was presenting a self in order to get love from me. But when the illusion cracked and I saw the truth, the truest, the fullest self, all the expressions, it was the illusion that hurt me the most. I think it made me feel foolish.
That person who was providing information and context that helped you create that illusion also was hurt by that, right? Like the
Mm,
person who is not sharing their truths is also having an experience of only being accepted again for those parts that they're presenting. And if that's not the whole of them, or in fact, if that's quite not who they are
yeah.
in many ways, then how do they know? How do they ever get to the point of believing that they are good enough as is, in their full self, all parts welcome? And so love and deep level intimacy requires us to show ourselves and really be seen. Intimacy if you space out those synonyms in that word, into me you see, like to let someone really, really look and see the parts of each other that are available to be shared, and there's freedom in that. It's personal freedom, and it's freedom from any sort of blame or contempt or whatever in relationship, if we're doing our part by speaking our truths.
And it's much less lonely, right? I think all the masks and veils essentially end up you feeling very lonely in a relationship. And I know you hear a lot of that, and I hear a lot of that as well.
Yeah, the epidemic of loneliness in this ever so connected world.
Right, I know. Well, this is why I go to this woman. She has different perspectives and experiences. She's been in this for a very long time as well. And that's why I respect, oh, I'm like getting emotional. I love you so much.
I love you. I love
Look
you
at this
too.
vulnerable expression happening, right? I have this strength to be vulnerable. So I really respect Wendy and her work. And you can work with people remotely in Florida and Connecticut. Is that correct?
Right. So in my licensing, I operate in those two states, Connecticut and Florida, from a therapist standpoint, and also am available for education and coaching here and there.
Yeah, so you can reach out to Wendy if you are in those areas and, resonate with what she had to say. And then as far as me, I help men avoid ED medications, get off of them, or in some cases, get them to work. So you can contact me if you have that desire. And I will see you next time on the next episode of Hymology, where we love men. Hey, you. Hey, guy. Who's learning about sexual health, mixed in with some Tantra, mixed in with some 5 elements of Chinese medicine and some Western medicine. I want to let you know something. I would love it if you would hit my subscribe button and the notification bell. That way, you're going to know when new content is posted every Friday.